Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For the last two classes, we are working on the human skeletal system. Yesterday, the lesson was completed up to introduction to vertebra. And today, we are going to discuss from here, right? Now, the special vertebra, that means from the typical vertebra, this is the type of vertebra. There are 7 vertebrae in the cervical region. In the 7 vertebrae, except the first vertebra and the second vertebra, atlas vertebra, axis vertebra, in all the others, this kind of an appearance will be there. In the neck region, there are 7 vertebra. In the 7 vertebra, first vertebra is atlas vertebra. Okay, it is the one in contact with the skull. And second vertebra is axis vertebra. If you take these 2 vertebra, they have some different special appearances. The rest 5 vertebra will look like this. Actually, the 7th vertebra is slightly different, but if it is mentioned in the syllabus only, we can think of it. Here, okay, this picture is given to you from the resource book. So, what is this part?
Body.
Body is the body. And what is this part?
Transverse foramen for vertebral artery.
Okay, transverse foramen for vertebral artery. Okay, that means through this hole, vertebral artery will travel. In the transverse, okay, it is in the transverse process. Through that one, vertebral artery will travel. Right. Are you labeled with this?
Yes, sir.
Yes. What is it?
Transverse
It is
process.
the transverse process. So in the transverse process, there is a hole, and that hole is transverse foramen. Through the transverse foramen, vertebral artery travels. Okay. And what is this?
Vertebral foramen.
Vertebral foramen. Vertebral foramen. So in the typical vertebrae also we spoke about vertebral foramen. This is another one. So what is that?
Biped spine.
Biped spine. So biped spine is the spinous process. So here the spinous process, okay, it is divided like a Y letter. So that is why it is called by the name biped spine. And what is this?
Articular process with facet for articulation of adjacent vertebrae.
So actually, it is the, yeah, it is written that way. Articular process, articular process. Read the full.
With facet,
Which
with facet,
facets for
articulation of adjacent vertebrae.
articulation of adjacent vertebrae. Actually, the superior articular process, okay, inferior articular process, okay, that kind of one it is. So this is the overall idea. So in this one, the unique features, if you consider, this is one unique feature. One unique feature, transverse foramen for vertebral artery. Another unique feature is, what is it? Biped spine. So if biped spine is present, okay, you can decide it is a cervical vertebrae. If transverse foramen for vertebral artery is present, then you can decide it is a cervical vertebrae. Could you be able to take the printouts?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you can mark these ones down. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Completed.
Yes, sir.
Rahika.
Yes, sir.
Good. So in these ones, this is the first vertebra, and that is what we call by the name Atlas vertebra in the vertebral column. It is the one that can stay on the top of the vertebral column. according to that, there are 3 to 4 places we can see. So this is the vertebral arterial foramen. So how it is written?
Transverse foramen for vertebral artery.
Transverse foramen. Actually, I used to pronounce it as vertebraterial foramen. That is the real word. But here, telling that they are simplifying it, they are calling it transverse foramen for vertebral artery. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. So that is one thing. And this is the vertebral foramen. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. And it is the largest vertebral foramen out of all the vertebral foramen in the vertebra. Every vertebra has a vertebral foramen, right? Compared to all the vertebral foramen, the largest one, the greater in diameter, belongs to atlas vertebra. And the next one is this. What is it? Facets. Facets.
Yes, sir. Facet for articulation.
Facets for
Articulation
with
occipital condyle.
occipital condyles. Occipital condyles. Now, yesterday in the lesson, I showed you, okay, occipital condyles. Okay, it is in the occipital bone. In the occipital bone, okay, in either sides of the foramen magnum, a pair of small knobs are there, and that pair of small knobs are called occipital condyles. And this is a special facet. What is that facet?
Facet for articulation with autonoid process.
Facet for articulation with odontoid process. Correct the spelling? Odontoid. Correct? Odontoid process. So you can label it.
Done, sir.
Sahika?
Done, sir.
Good. So this is the next vertebra, second cervical vertebra. It is called axis vertebra. In the axis vertebra also typical parts are there, but you can see in this vertebra almost a spinous process is absent, correct? Spinous process is not there. Similarly, to tell this is body, there's no typical place. The body is also reduced. So almost no body, no spinous process. So highly reduced body, highly reduced spinous process. Okay. And next it is axis vertebra. If you take axis vertebra, the typical unique feature, the unique feature is this. What is it?
Odontoid process.
Odontoid process. It is the odontoid process. Okay, so after odontoid process, what is this?
Facet for transverse ligament.
Facets for transverse, what is it?
Ligaments.
Ligament. Okay. And this one?
Facet for atlas.
Facet for atlas. Right. They are the main three new ones. Others are normal. This one?
Body.
Body? Yes. Body. So remember, it is the body that raises to odontoid process. Understood?
Yes, sir.
It is the body that raises to, what is it? Odontoid process. Okay, right. This one?
Spinous process.
So here there is a spinous process, correct? In the atlas, there is no
Spinous process.
spinous process, correct? And
yes, sir.
in this one?
Transverse foramen for vertebral artery.
Transverse foramen for, what is it? Vertebral artery. And finally, this one?
Transverse process.
Transverse process. Right? So in exam paper, if these ones are coming, majorly labeling will come. Understood? Majorly labeling will come. It will not come to draw. Right. You can complete it.
Done, sir.
Rahika?
Done, sir.
Right. So now let's have a look on the two vertebrae, that is excess vertebrae and axis vertebrae. Let's have a look on it. Here, so this is, when you see this vertebrae, you should be able to identify it. What is this vertebrae? Is it atlas or axis?
Atlas.
It is atlas, reduced body, no spinous process. Okay, this is atlas vertebra. That is the, what are these two?
Facet for articulation.
Of
With occipital
with
condyle.
occipital condyles.
These were articulated with the occipital condyle. Right here, we can see a little tubercle. That's the anterior tubercle, which is obviously the anterior side of the cervical vertebra. And here's the posterior. This would be the posterior side of the cervical. Over here, we have these little bumps out here.
Can you see the vertebral foramen?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
They're the transverse process. Then we have these holes. The vertebral.
Through that one, vertebral artery will travel.
We have this big hole. You look over here, we have that vertebral frame for the spinal cord. We look back here, we have like an articulating surface right here where the Vertebral Process or C2. And that allows for that rotation around that point of activity. Right? So again, that's the articulating surface where the Vertebral Process. Again,
That is the place. What is the place he is showing? Who will join in that place?
Odontoid.
Odontoid process.
now what I'm going to do is look at all this. All right, so let's take a look at the inferior. So these are here, your inferior articulating process. They articulate with the superior articulating process of passage with C2 or axis. And that's what allows for a specific type of joint that I'll talk about here in a second. We'll take a look. And then again, this is going to be the anterior side of the anterior and the posterior. These are your arches. The anterior arches. Again, vertebral foramen here is the spinal cord. Okay, so again, this is going to be C1. Let's take a closer look at C2 or axis.
This is home.
Axis vertebra.
Axis vertebrae. Once you see that, you can immediately see the first thing that eye-catching attention belongs to
odontoid process.
Odontoid process. This part is the
Body.
body. So it is the body that raises into a odontoid process. Okay, this is usual superior articulation process, or your book, as your book says, they are the facets for the articulation with home. Atlas. Right? Fine. We'll have a look further.
Again, this is the orthodontic process. These articulating inferior articulating process of Now we're going to flip it over so we can take a better view. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a look.
This is the seventh cervical vertebrae. This is the seventh vertical vertebrae. But seventh cervical vertebrae is not specially explained to us. So I am skipping that one. This is my next idea. You can see here, he has placed the C1, that is atlas, on the, what is it? On the axis.
Axis.
When you place here, the odontoid process come to this place. After it is placed there, a ligament of the atlas will start here and will tie it like this, not allowing to slip. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Not allowing to slip. A ligament will start from one place of the atlas, go around the odontoid process and join the atlas. So whose ligament it is? Whose ligament it is? Which bone's ligament it is? Is it ligament of atlas or ligament of axis?
Atlas.
Atlas ligament. It is holding the odontoid process in its place. Agree? And this ligament is called transverse ligament. When a person dies, ligaments, tendons, muscles, they will disappear. So taking a single bone, can we show the ligament? Taking a bone, can we show the ligament? No, we can't. So we have to understand, but book says that word, right? Transverse ligament of atlas. This ligament has a name. What is the name given? What is the transverse ligament? Okay. Transverse ligament of atlas. I will share a photograph in the group. You can see that one, right? In that one, the transverse ligament is shown to you in green color. Right. So in one place, correct? In this place, transverse ligament is touching the odontoid process. That is the place how they have labeled it. In the axis vertebrae, below the odontoid process, they have labeled it. How they have labeled it? This place. You have labeled the diagram now?
Yes, sir.
Then tell me.
Facet for transverse ligament.
Facet for transverse ligament. It is the facet for whom? Transverse ligament. So transverse ligament join or bind it in that place. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Right? For an important thing, I took this video.
So Again, you can actually see that part.
I don't know whether he will show that.
Articulating.
Actually, the can you see the components here? This one, in this one, and this one, and this one are articulating. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Right. That also you have to see in the video, but that's not the thing I am looking for, but don't know whether he will show that. Actually, holding in the odontoid process, atlas bone will turn to side. Okay. When you are giving salam in the end of the prayer, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. When you are doing that, your skull and the atlas vertebra is turning to either sides using odontoid process as an axis. Understood?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Right. So side to side movement is done in that manner. So please go through the content regarding cervical vertebrae, atlas vertebra, axis vertebra. Okay, go through that. Okay, and if any words you want to clarify, you ask me. I have not really gone through this and explained you using picture and the video. I gave the explanation. You go through and ask.
Clear, sir.
Right. So the joint, the head joint that help you to turn side to side, the head is the pivot joint. Pivot joint. Okay, helping to turn both sides. Pivot joint. Okay, right. Now the thoracic vertebra. If you take the thoracic vertebra, this is the diagram given. Most of the things you are marking here are what you have already marked. So thoracic vertebra, what is marked then?
Body.
Body. So only two unique features will be there. Others are usual features. That is body. Okay, what else?
Vertebral foramen.
Vertebral foramen, usual one, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now the, yeah,
Facets for articulation.
facets for articulation of whom? With whom? Not mentioned? Not mentioned?
Yes, sir.
Not mentioned.
Yes, sir. Not mentioned.
Ribs. With whom they articulate? With whom they articulate?
With ribs.
With ribs. Using the facets for articulation with ribs, we can easily identify the thoracic vertebrae. Clear? This facet is in the transverse process. One facet is in the body. Two facets. One side, two facets. In the two facets, one is in the transverse process, other one is in the body. Okay, what is this?
Spinous process.
Spinous process, usual. Okay, spinous process. Okay, actually, the longest spinous process belongs to thoracic vertebra. Okay, what is this?
Transverse process.
Transverse process. Transverse process. A normal one, correct? And what is this?
Superior articular process.
Superior articular
process.
process with
A facet for articulation.
With facets for articulation.
With adjacent vertebra.
With adjacent vertebra. This is the Sri Lankan type of labeling. Okay. So I'm not so interested in those things, but how it is labeled, you should know in the. So actually, it's a superior articular process. Above that one, there will be an inferior articular process. They have facets. They are articulating, right? So label it.
Done, sir.
Completed.
Yes, sir.
Right. So the unique feature here is, what is it?
Facets for articulation with ribs.
Right. So using that only, we can easily identify. Actually, there's another one. If you take the body here will be a heart-shaped structure. Using that one also we can identify, but it's not mentioned to us in that manner. Okay. Right. So if you take the ribs articulating here, in rib there will be two places. Okay, rib articulation with, what is it? Vertebrae. Here you can see this diagram. This is the blue color one is the rib. Okay, the ribs, two parts. Actually, this point of the rib is called head, and this point of the rib is called tubercle. So head is articulating with the facet in the body. Tubercle is articulating with the facet in the transverse process. Clear?
Yes, sir.
So for one rib, how many places are there for their articulation? For one rib in the thoracic vertebrae, how many articulation points are there? Two articulation points are there. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Good. So please go through the thoracic vertebra and tell me whether this not. Okay, it's not. Please go through it.
Clear, sir.
Clear? Good. So coming to lumbar vertebra. Lumbar vertebra is the typical vertebra. The typical vertebra we have already studied pictorially. This is the typical vertebra body, vertebral foramen, transverse process, spinous process, and superior articular process, inferior articular process. Right. If you take the cervical vertebra, the size of the body of cervical vertebra will be smaller than the size of the body of thoracic vertebra. Reason, cervical vertebra has to bear weight only the head's weight. cervical vertebra has to bear the weight only of the head. But compared to cervical vertebra, thoracic vertebra has to bear more weight because chest region, arms are there, all those weight are falling on them. Compared to thoracic vertebra, lumbar vertebra has to bear more weight. So body of the lumbar vertebra will be heavier, greater in size than these two vertebra. So it is the lumbar vertebra, the biggest vertebra. Among the vertebrae, individual vertebrae, the biggest vertebra is the lumbar vertebra. Okay, that is reasonable because more body weight is there. Okay, and sacrum, if you take sacrum in this picture, actually this picture I have taken, no, this is actually it is called our pelvic girdle. It's our pelvic girdle. Later we will speak about the pelvic girdle. It is not time. You can call it by the name hip. Okay. In the pelvic girdle, in making the pelvic girdle, sacrum plays a role. So this is the sacrum. It is the sacrum. So sacrum plays a role in making the pelvic girdle. And here this kuti bone is called coccyx. So coccyx is a small one. It is a vestigial structure. Vestigial means in our ancestors, it have well developed. It was well functioning. In us, it is available in a very small size, okay, without any function. That is coccyx, right? So you can mark the sacrum and coccyx. This entire unit is called pelvic girdle. Okay. Pelvic girdle has several bones, but none of the bones are in your syllabus. Ilium, ischium, okay, pubis, like bones are there, but they are not in your syllabus. Thank God, so not in your syllabus. If you can study what is in the syllabus, that is great. Have you marked the sacrum and coccyx?
Yes, sir.
Good. So if you take the sacrum, this is the picture I think is given in your textbook, right? Here, what are the parts to be labeled? Let's label it. What is this?
Articular process.
Articular process. That's all written.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Actually, it is with whom? With last lumbar vertebra. It articulates with whom? Last
lumbar
lumbar vertebra. It articulates. For that one, there is a articular process. And what is this?
Articular surface for intervertebral disc.
Articular surface for intervertebral disc. Okay. Then what are these holes? What are those holes?
Foramina for passage.
Foramina for passage of whom?
Only passage given, sir.
Foramina for passage of spinal nerves, right? Spinal nerves. I think. Wait a minute. Yes, spinal nerves, or we can call it sacral nerves. And the arteries. Okay, you can mark it down. Passage of spinal nerves and arteries.
Done, sir.
Good. So, go through the lumbar vertebra, sacrum, coccyx. Tell me whether you are okay. Then I will come to the common features of vertebral column. Then I will finish this portion. Okay. This chapter will be quickly finished. Not much notes.
Clear, sir.
Right. So, if you take the human vertebral column, okay, it is helping the human to maintain a erect posture, right? Erect posture is very important. It is also supporting the ribs. What are the vertebrae supporting the ribs?
Thoracic vertebra.
Thoracic vertebrae. And it supports the skull. What are the vertebrae supporting the skull?
Cervical vertebrae.
Cervical vertebrae. And girdles. What is the girdle supported by the vertebral column?
Pelvic girdle.
Pelvic girdle. Who supports it?
Sacrum.
Sacrum. Okay. And through the vertebral foramen, who travels?
Spinal cord.
So it is a protection to the spinal
Spinal cord.
cord. Another thing it is, they are using this word, okay? Vertebral foramen, okay, is actually vertebral foramen. Actually, it is this word. What is the word?
Intervertebral foramen.
That is the correct word. Intervertebral foramen. Okay, it is made okay, with the contribution of two adjacent vertebra, a hole will be made, and that is called, what is it? Intervertebral foramen. So if you take intervertebral foramen, okay, if you take intervertebral foramen, through the intervertebral foramen, from the spinal cord, who will exit? Who will exit? See here. From now, can you see this picture? The yellow color vertical component is the spinal cord. Understood?
Yes, sir.
From the spinal cord, spinal nerves have to come out. They exit through the intervertebral foramen. Similarly, the blood supply, the blood required for the spinal cord enters through this intervertebral foramen. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Right. So intervertebral foramen is function, it is a little wrongly marked. So I'm telling it is vertebral foramen. So vertebral foramen, it accommodates the spinal cord. Okay, it protects the spinal cord. That is its function. That is its function. It is the intervertebral foramen that does this particular function. Okay, that is one thing you want to know. Another thing it is, you know, vertebral column help you to move your body. Yesterday we were speaking about ruku, sujud, correct? These body movements were made possible with the contribution of total vertebral column. And finally, between the vertebrae, there will be a connective tissue component. That connective tissue component is intervertebral disc. Intervertebral disc, one side working as a shock absorber, and further it protects the spinal cord. We are not given any specific detail about it. Only one thing you want to know, it's a fibrous connective tissue that you studied under animal tissues. Here, two functions of it. What are the two functions?
Act as shock absorbers and protect the spinal cord.
Act as shock absorbers and
Protect the spinal cord.
Right. So in the axial skeleton, we are coming to, okay, finishing the vertebral column, we are coming to which component?
Sternum.
Sternum. This is the diagram. I picked this diagram to give you an idea regarding sternum. The colorful part here is called sternum. According to this picture and according to your textbook, what are the parts present in the sternum?
Manubrium of sternum.
Manubrium. So who is the manubrium?
Topmost part.
The topmost part, the green color part. That is manubrium. Correct? This is the manubrium. Okay. Okay. Then,
Body of sternum.
so it is the body. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, the body. And this one,
Xiphoid process of sternum.
how you are spelled xiphoid process?
XI.
XI.
PXO.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Here, this is a bone called clavicle. What is the bone?
Clavicle.
Clavicle. If you take clavicle, it has another name called collarbone. Bone. Collarbone. Okay, if now say the slim people are there, no, who have low body weight in them, okay, you can see their collarbone protruding outside the skin, right? That is the collarbone. The collarbone is not in our syllabus. What is the name of the bone?
Clavicle.
Clavicle. The clavicle articulates with the manubrium. Can you see that one? Can you see that one?
Yes, sir.
In this place, clavicle articulates with the manubrium. These are the first pair of ribs. The first pair of ribs are also articulating with the manubrium. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Actually, this is the second pair of ribs. These two are, what are they? Second pair of ribs. Second pair of ribs actually articulate in the border between manubrium and body. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct? But according to your syllabus, it is articulating with the manubrium. Okay. How many pairs of ribs are articulating with the
Manubrium.
manubrium?
2 pairs.
2 pairs. That way, a point has been given to you. Actually, if you take the ribs are, okay, the ribs are finishing. Now this rib is finishing here. This rib is finishing here. Understood? So actually the ribs are finishing in one place. After they finish, what they continue here is, now here it is finishing, here it is finishing, it is finishing here. This is a cartilage material. It is called costal cartilage. What kind of cartilage?
Costal cartilage.
Costal cartilage. You have heard about the word intercostal muscles, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that type of wording, costal cartilages. So it is the cartilages that bind the ribs to the sternum. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. You can place all these details on your diagram. According to my eye level, I mark borders. In your diagram, if the borders are clear, mark them clear.
Done, sir.
Okay, have you marked it?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, sternum is a long flat bone. Okay, right. So, the totally, okay, in the front sternum, in the sides, ribs, behind thoracic vertebrae, all together they form a cage. The cage is called
Thoracic cage.
thoracic cage. Okay. Go through the content and tell me whether you are clear.
Clear, sir.
Clear. Right.
Yes, sir.
So actually, I am not teaching you line to line, right? Now, for example, now ossified process, what is the role play of it? Okay, helping to attach the muscles of the diaphragm and the abdominal wall muscles, interior, okay, interior abdominal wall muscles. So those types of things. One important thing here is sternum is synthesizing the sternum provides protection to the organs and blood vessels that lie behind it, and the sternum is no need to tell that one, but anyway, sternum is rich in bone marrow. It is producing, what is it?
Blood cells.
Blood cells. Right. Here, next we are coming to, what is it?
Ribs.
Ribs. If you take the ribs, first thing, how many ribs we have? It is numbered here.
12 pairs.
12 pairs there. Left 12, right 12. Here, this is one place rib join the sternum. The second place it joins the sternum. Third, fourth, fifth, correct? Sixth, seventh, correct? So
Yes, sir.
in the sternum, how many places are for the articulation of ribs? Each type
7.
7. So those 7 places are for the first 7 ribs. First pair, second pair, third pair, fourth pair, fifth pair, sixth pair, and what's it? 7th pair. They only have the straight joining points in the sternum. Due to that reason, they are called true ribs. How do you call them?
True ribs.
True ribs. If you take the next coming 3 ribs, what they do is using the 6th and 7th ribs articulation points and the costal cartilages, they also indirectly join the sternum, correct?
Yes, sir.
So they are called false ribs. If you take the 11th and the 12th one, they don't bind themselves to the sternum. They are called floating ribs. What are the 3 types of ribs?
True ribs, false ribs, and floating ribs.
Floating ribs. How many pairs are belonging to the true ribs?
7 pairs.
7 pairs. False ribs?
3 pairs.
3 pairs. And floating ribs?
2 pairs.
2 pairs. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So if you take the rib, you don't need to know all the points. Just I want to show you. Right. This is the rib. In the rib, there are many parts there. If you become a doctor, inshallah, you will study all of it. Okay. All of these are syllabus in the medical faculty. But for me, it is not there. Could you please label the head in your diagram?
Done, sir.
Could you please label the tubercle in your diagram?
Done, sir.
Right. Those two are your syllabus. And here, who articulates?
Costal cartilage.
Costal cartilage. The costal cartilage. So here, this should be marked as the head. This should be marked as the tubercle. This should be marked as the articulation with
Costal
costal
cartilage.
cartilage. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Good.
Done, sir.
Right. So, go through the notes. Now here, you know, now remember all the ribs, 12 pairs, whether it is a true rib, whether it is a false rib or a floating rib, never mind. They are articulating with the thoracic vertebrae, correct? They are articulating with the thoracic vertebrae. One place in the body, another place in the transverse process. Head of the rib articulates with the vertebral body. So what is this?
Head.
Head of the rib. This is vertebrate body. This is tubercle. Facets of tubercle articulates with the, this is transverse process, correct?
Yes, sir.
Could you please label those four body, head of the rib, tubercle, and the transverse process?
Done, sir.
Okay. Right. So you can go through the notes of the ribs and tell me whether you want any clarification.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can you explain the last 3 lines? The
You
first
mean
rib is
this is okay, no?
yes, sir, but it does not move during
Wait,
inspiration.
I'll tell you. I thought you will be asking it. Okay. Now, for an example, we will think like this. Give me a minute. There is an exercise. Okay, I just take this one. You would have seen people hanging this way on a support and lifting their body, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, to do this one, they need a strong support here. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, using the first pair of ribs as this bar, other ribs are moving upward and forward, okay, using the intercostal muscle contraction. Understood?
Yes, sir.
Are you clear?
Clear, sir.
Right? Here there is another rib, see? Now this rib can move, what is it? Upward, downward. Who is the support for them? The first pair of ribs. If the first pair of rib is moving, now if this bar is moving up and down, can this person be supported? Can this person be supported? Can't. Okay, no firm movement for his body. It is moving mean he can't lift himself, correct? So it should be steady. He or she has to climb up, climb down. Clear?
Clear, sir.
So this kind of a movement is noticed in this place. Are you clear?
Clear, sir.
Holding the first pair of ribs, other ribs are moving upward towards the first rib. When the muscles are contracting, when the muscles are relaxing, they will move downwards, right? That is the point you want to clarify, no?
Yes, sir.
Because
Clear, sir.
but we can't show the movement of ribs in the class, no? So that's why I took that one. So what is the heading for you here?
Contribution of human axial skeleton to maintain the upright posture.
Yeah. So we have an upright posture that is actually having the contribution of appendicular skeleton as well the, what is it?
Axial skeleton.
Axial skeleton. In what ways the axial skeleton supports us is the one we are going to speak here. One of the quality it has is, what is it? It is
Presence
developing.
Primary curvature and secondary curvature.
Right. So secondary curvatures are developing after the birth. First secondary curvature happens in the cervical region, correct? Helping us to raise our heads. And secondary curvature develops in our lumbar region, helping us to stand upright. Right? So overall, the story's overall point it is, there are primary curvatures and what is it? Secondary curvatures helping us in the erect posture. Another feature is the size of the vertebrae. Now I told you in the beginning, compared to cervical vertebra, thoracic vertebra are bit bigger. Compared to thoracic vertebra, lumbar vertebra are bit bigger. The size of their bodies are gradually increasing top to bottom. That is to support the weight of the upper part of the body. This is also contributing the erect posture. Another thing, sacral vertebrae. Sacral vertebrae, okay, it has a triangular shape. Okay, it is supporting the weight of the vertebral column and the internal organs. So sacral vertebrae, it has a concave, actually that word they have not mentioned, is a concave triangular shape it has. That concave triangular shape helps the accommodation of several internal organs inside the pelvic girdle. Weight support is also there. And finally, occipital condyles. Now, if you take a human skull, okay, in a human skull, when you have the mouth, when we have the mouth here, okay, when we have the mouth here, we have the occipital condyles situated like this. Understood?
Yes, sir.
We have the occipital condyles situated like this. Right? Suppose if the occipital condyles are situated like this, then the vertebral column will be fixed to it in this manner, right? If it is so.
Yes, sir.
If it is so, then we will not get the erect posture because the vertebral column is horizontal now. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So the foramen magnum is where it is. If this is the occipital condyle, foramen magnum is passing through. So foramen magnum is also like this. In either sides of the foramen magnum, okay, the occipital condyles will be there. If suppose if the foramen magnum is here, then occipital condyle will be in that manner. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Thereafter, we will not get the erect posture. So this is how you have to understand it. So please go through the contribution of axial skeleton to maintain the upright posture. Then tell me whether is it correct, okay to understand.
Clear, sir.
Right. So with that one, we are completing the axial skeleton, and now we have to enter into the, what is it, appendicular skeleton. In the appendicular skeleton, two girdles to study, two limbs to study. One, these two are staying as a combination. Who are the two? Upper limbs, our hand, we used to call it hands, and the pectoral girdle are in one combination. Lower limbs, that is our legs, and the pelvic girdle are in one combination. In this one, first of all, we are introducing the, what is it? Pectoral girdle. These three pictures are trying to show you the pectoral girdle. Okay, actually, pectoral girdle will be a oval shaped structure. Actually, pectoral girdle is an, what is it? An oval shaped structure. In making the pectoral girdle, four bones, namely two, number-wise, four bones take part. Here, the blue color bone, I already told you this. It is the bone called, what is it?
Clavicle.
Clavicle. So we have two clavicles, one right clavicle there, one, what is it? Left clavicle there. And we have two shoulder bones called scapula. Okay, scapula. So one scapula, one clavicle make one half of the pectoral girdle. Okay, other scapula, other clavicle will make the next half of the pectoral girdle. In the pectoral girdle, especially in the scapula, in this place, there will be a small cavity. That cavity is called by the name. What is the name given? What is the name given? Glenoid cavity. In the glenoid cavity, a ball socket joint is there. A ball socket joint is there. A bone articulates. This bone is called by the name, which bone? humerus bone. It is our upper arms. Humerus bone articulates with the glenoid cavity. Glenoid cavity is situated in the scapula. So we can say, okay, the upper limb is articulating with the pectoral girdle. The upper limb is articulating with the pectoral girdle. Are you clear?
Clear, sir.
Yeah, Prabhu. Have you marked these things?
Yes, sir.
Right. So very small amount of notes given to you. See, only 3 lines. Correct?
Yes, sir.
Right. Similarly, here we have the pelvic girdle. In the pelvic girdle, there are actually in the old syllabus, there was full detail about it, but new syllabus doesn't carry much details about it. This is the which bone?
Hip bone.
Hip bone. Actually, hip bone is made of 3 bones fused together. It's called ilium, ischium, and pubis, but they are not in your syllabus. If you get to know, there are hip bones, it is okay. And in making the pelvic girdle, sacrum plays a significant role. Sacrum plays a significant role in making the, what is it? Pelvic girdle. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Have you marked it?
Yes, sir.
Good, good, good. So, very simple note. Now 23 pages we have finished. Another how many? 10 pages are there to complete. Inshallah, coming class, it will be finished this chapter. Actually, with the completion of this chapter, okay, exam point of view wise, 80% of the questions should be able to be practiced. 80% of the questions should be able to be practiced. Okay, we take 2020 paper, 2021 paper, 2019 paper. In all the papers, 80% of the questions are coming in the first 5 units. With the end of this chapter, this unit number 5, that is coming to end. Okay, in that side, I'm really happy. Although another a portion of lesson is awaiting to be completed. I have a plan, but time is really challenging. Okay, I have a plan of completing 1 portion or 2 portions through the YouTube lesson. I have a long time plan on it, but in execution, I face some challenges. Inshallah, I will do that. The syllabus should be covered. No? Okay, we'll meet inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.